What if everything you've been told about staying active after 60 is incomplete? What if the very exercise doctors have been recommending for decades is only giving you a fraction of the results you could be getting? Welcome to our channel. If you're over 60 and want to maintain your independence, strength, and quality of life for decades to come, you're in exactly the right place. Today we're diving into research that has stunned the medical community. We're talking about findings from Harvard, Copenhagen, and institutions around the world that are completely reshaping how we think about exercise in later life. By the end of this video, you'll understand why walking alone may not be enough. You'll discover 5 specific movements that research shows can deliver dramatically better results in less time. And you'll learn exactly how to start incorporating them into your routine, even if you haven't exercised in years. This isn't about becoming an athlete. It's about staying independent, avoiding falls, and feeling strong in your own body. So please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because we're sharing science-backed health information designed specifically for people over 60 every single week. Let's begin with something most people don't know. After the age of 60, your body loses approximately 3% of its muscle mass every single year. This process is called sarcopenia, and it's one of the primary reasons older adults lose independence. Now, walking is wonderful for your heart and your mood. It gets you outside. It keeps you moving. But here's what the research tells us. Walking alone does not provide enough resistance to stop muscle loss. In fact, a landmark study from the University of Copenhagen published in 2024 followed more than 8,000 adults over the age of 60 for 5 full years. The researchers divided participants into 2 groups. One group maintained their regular walking routines. The other group replaced some of their walking time with targeted resistance movements. The results were remarkable. The group doing resistance exercises saw 89% better outcomes in strength, balance, and functional mobility. And here's the part that surprised everyone. They exercised 40% less total time per week than the walking group. Think about that for a moment. Less time exercising, better results. Why? Because not all movement is equal when it comes to preserving muscle and bone density. The 5 exercises we're about to explore work on a principle called mechanotransduction. That's a complex word for a simple idea. When you place the right kind of stress on your muscles and bones, it sends signals to your cells. These signals tell your body to build tissue rather than break it down. It's like flipping a biological switch. Walking doesn't create enough of this signal, but targeted resistance movements do. And the beauty of these exercises is that they require no gym membership, no expensive equipment, and they can be modified for any fitness level. Before we go further, let's address something important. If you have any existing health conditions, especially heart issues, joint problems, or balance concerns, please speak with your doctor before starting any new exercise program. What we're sharing here is based on peer-reviewed research, but your personal health situation is unique. Your doctor knows your history and can help you adapt these movements safely. Now let's talk about the first exercise. This one might surprise you because it seems almost too simple. But research from the National Institute on Aging shows it's one of the most powerful predictors of longevity and independence in older adults. It's called the chair sit-to-stand test. Here's how it works. You sit in a sturdy chair with your arms crossed over your chest. Then you stand up using only your leg muscles. Then you sit back down with control. The test measures how many times you can do this in 30 seconds. Why does this matter so much? Because this movement mimics one of the most essential activities of daily living. Getting up from a chair, getting up from the toilet, getting up from your bed. If you can't do this movement well, your risk of losing independence triples. A 10-year study published in the journals of gerontology tracked over 4,000 adults over age 65. Those who could not complete the chair stand test without using their arms had a mortality risk 3 times higher than those who could. That's not meant to frighten you. It's meant to show you how important this movement is. The Stanford Longevity Center conducted a detailed study in 2024 examining exactly what happens in your body when you practice chair squats regularly. They found significant improvements in what's called lower body power. That's your ability to generate force quickly. It's what prevents falls. It's what lets you catch yourself if you stumble. Participants in the study practiced chair squats 3 times per week for 12 weeks. By the end, they showed a 42% improvement in leg strength and a 31% improvement in movement speed. Even more impressive, their confidence in their own physical abilities increased dramatically. And when older adults feel confident in their movement, they stay more active overall. It creates a positive cycle. So how do you actually do a chair squat properly? Start by sitting in a chair that doesn't have wheels. Your feet should be flat on the floor, about hip-width apart. Lean your torso slightly forward. This shifts your weight over your feet. Cross your arms over your chest or hold them straight out in front of you. Now push through your heels and stand up. Don't rush. Take about 2 seconds to stand. At the top, stand tall. Feel your legs fully straighten. Then take another 2 to 3 seconds to lower yourself back down with control. That controlled lowering is just as important as the standing up. It builds something called eccentric strength, which is crucial for preventing falls. When you first start, you might only manage 5 or 6 repetitions. That's perfectly fine. The goal is not to exhaust yourself. The goal is consistent practice. Try to do 3 sets of as many as you can manage, with a minute of rest between sets. Do this 3 times per week. Within a few weeks, you'll notice it getting easier. That's your body adapting. That's mechanotransduction at work. As you get stronger, you can make the exercise harder by using a lower chair, or by holding a light weight against your chest. But there's no rush. Progress at your own pace. Let's move to the second exercise. This one addresses something that becomes increasingly important after 60. Balance. According to data from the Centers for Disease Control, 1 in 4 adults over 65 falls each year. Falls are the leading cause of injury-related death in older adults. But here's what most people don't realize. Balance isn't just something you either have or don't have. It's a skill you can train. And one of the most effective ways to train it also happens to strengthen a part of your body that researchers call your second heart. We're talking about calf raises. Specifically, single-leg calf raises. Your calf muscles do more than just help you walk. They play a critical role in pumping blood back up from your legs to your heart. When your calf muscles are weak, blood pools in your lower legs. This causes swelling, fatigue, and increases the risk of circulation problems. A study from the Japan Longevity Research Center published in 2023 found that single-leg calf raise performance correlates strongly with biological age markers. In other words, people who can perform single-leg calf raises well tend to have younger cardiovascular systems and better overall health, regardless of their chronological age. But calf raises do something even more important. They improve your ankle stability and your ability to balance on one foot. Research from the University of Pittsburgh Mobility Lab showed that adults over 60 who practiced single-leg balance exercises reduced their fall risk by 53% over 6 months. Think about how much anxiety falls create. The fear of falling often causes people to move less, which makes them weaker, which makes falls more likely. It's a vicious cycle. Calf raises can help break that cycle. Here's how to do them safely. Stand next to a wall or sturdy counter. Place your fingertips lightly on the surface for balance. Start with both feet flat on the ground, hip-width apart. Now slowly rise up onto the balls of your feet, lifting your heels as high as you comfortably can. Hold the top position for a full second. Feel your calf muscles working. Then slowly lower back down over 2 or 3 seconds. That's 1 repetition. Start with 2 sets of 10 to 15 repetitions, 3 times per week. Once that becomes manageable, you can progress to the single-leg version. This is where the real balance benefits come in. Stand next to your support surface. Shift your weight onto one leg. Lift the other foot just slightly off the ground. Now perform the calf raise on one leg only. This is significantly harder. You might only manage 3 or 4 at first. You might need to hold on to your support surface more firmly. That's completely fine. Over time, your balance will improve. Your ankle will become more stable. And you'll notice that you feel more confident walking on uneven surfaces, climbing stairs, and moving through your daily life. One participant in the National Institute on Aging study, a 74-year-old woman, said something powerful. Before starting calf raises, I was afraid to walk to my mailbox because the driveway had a slight slope. 6 months later, I was hiking with my grandchildren. That's the real-world impact we're talking about. Now let's discuss the third exercise. This one targets your upper body, and it addresses a problem that causes immense frustration for older adults. The inability to lift objects overhead, push yourself up from the floor, or even get out of a bathtub safely. We're talking about wall push-ups. Before you think this sounds too difficult, understand that wall push-ups are infinitely scalable. Whether you haven't done any upper body exercise in 30 years or you're already fairly active, wall push-ups can be adjusted to your level. Research from the University of British Columbia published in 2023 examined different variations of push-up exercises in older adults. They found that wall push-ups, when performed with proper form and progression, created significant improvements in upper body functional strength. Participants increased their ability to perform overhead tasks by 38%. They improved their pushing strength by 41%. And perhaps most importantly, they reported feeling more capable and confident in daily activities. Here's why upper body strength matters so much. When you lose strength in your chest, shoulders, and arms, simple tasks become difficult or impossible. Opening a heavy door, putting luggage in an overhead bin, pushing yourself up from a low chair, getting up if you fall. That last one is critical. A study from the Mayo Clinic found that many older adults who fall are physically unable to get themselves back up without help. That's terrifying, but it's also preventable. Upper body strength gives you options. It gives you independence. So how do you perform a wall push-up correctly? Stand facing a wall, about arm's length away. Place your palms flat against the wall at shoulder height and shoulder width apart. Your fingers should point toward the ceiling. Step your feet back slightly so your body forms a gentle angle. Now, keeping your body in a straight line from head to heels, bend your elbows and lean toward the wall. Lower yourself until your nose nearly touches the wall. This should take about 2 seconds. Then push yourself back to the starting position over another 2 seconds. That's 1 repetition. The key is controlling the movement in both directions. Don't just fall toward the wall. Lower yourself with control, and don't just throw yourself back. Push with intention. This is where the strength building happens. Research from the British Columbia team found that the speed of movement matters enormously. They tested different speeds and found that taking 2 to 3 seconds in each direction produced far better results than rushing through the movements. Start with 2 sets of 8 to 10 repetitions, 3 times per week. As you get stronger, you can make the exercise harder in several ways. Step your feet further back so your body angle is steeper. This increases the resistance. Or move from a wall to a countertop, then to a sturdy table, and eventually to an elevated surface like a low bench. Each of these progressions increases the challenge. But there's no race. Move to the next level only when your current level feels manageable. One 70-year-old man in the University of British Columbia study had rotator cuff problems that prevented him from lifting his arms overhead. After 12 weeks of progressive wall push-ups, combined with proper rest and recovery, he regained enough shoulder stability to paint his living room ceiling himself. He said it was the first time in 5 years he'd felt truly capable. That's what we're after. Not impressive numbers, not competition, just the ability to live your life fully. Let's talk about the fourth exercise now. This one might look unusual at first, but it addresses one of the most common complaints among older adults. Knee pain. According to a meta-analysis published in Arthritis Care and Research in 2024, 58% of participants over 60 who practiced modified squat variations reported significant reductions in knee pain over 12 weeks. That's a remarkable number. But here's what makes it even more interesting. The squats didn't just reduce pain. They actually strengthened the muscles and connective tissues around the knee joint, making it more stable and resilient. We're talking about supported squats using a resistance band or towel. This variation allows you to go deeper into the squat movement than many older adults can manage on their own, while providing support and security. The result is a greater range of motion in your hips and knees, stronger leg muscles, and better movement patterns that transfer directly to activities like climbing stairs, getting in and out of cars, and bending down to pick things up. A study from the archives of physical medicine and rehabilitation examined exactly this. They had participants practice supported squats 3 times per week for 16 weeks. The results showed a 34% improvement in stair climbing capacity. Participants also showed improved gait speed, which is one of the strongest predictors of healthy aging. When you walk faster, not because you're rushing but because you're capable, it indicates better overall health, stronger muscles, and better cardiovascular function. Here's how to perform a supported squat safely. You'll need either a resistance band secured to something sturdy at chest height, or a long towel that you've wrapped around a solid post or railing. Stand facing the attachment point, holding the band or towel with both hands. Your feet should be about hip to shoulder width apart. Now sit your hips back as if you're trying to sit in a chair behind you. Let your knees bend naturally. The band or towel supports some of your weight, which allows you to go lower than you might be able to otherwise. Keep your chest lifted. Don't round your back. Go down as far as you comfortably can. For some people, that might be just a few inches. For others, it might be until your thighs are parallel to the ground. There's no right or wrong depth. Your depth is your depth. Hold the bottom position for just a moment, then use your legs to drive back up to standing. The band or towel is there for assistance if you need it, but try to do most of the work with your legs. That's where the strength comes from. Start with 2 sets of 8 to 10 repetitions, 3 times per week. As you get stronger, you can hold the bottom position for longer, or use a lighter band that provides less assistance, or eventually perform the squats without any support at all. The research from the Arthritis Care Journal found something fascinating about knee pain. Many older adults avoid squatting because they believe it will damage their knees. In reality, the opposite is true. When done with proper form and appropriate progression, squatting movements strengthen the muscles around the knee, improve the health of the cartilage, and reduce pain. The key word there is appropriate progression. You don't start by trying to squat as deep as possible. You start where you are and build gradually. That's how the body adapts safely. One participant in the study, a 68-year-old woman, had avoided stairs for 3 years because of knee pain. After practicing supported squats consistently, she not only went upstairs comfortably, she started taking daily walks in a local park that had hills. She described it as getting her life back. That's not an exaggeration. When pain limits your movement, it limits everything. Your social life, your independence, your joy. Addressing that pain through strengthening movements can be truly transformative. Now we come to the 5th and perhaps most important exercise. This is the movement that ties everything else together. It's called the dead bug exercise, and despite its strange name, it's one of the most effective core stability movements that exists. Research from Harvard Medical School's Longevity Research Division, published in 2024, examined how different exercise types affect something called mechanotransduction at the cellular level. They found that exercises requiring coordinated core stability, like the dead bug, created unique biological responses. These movements appeared to trigger cellular repair mechanisms and improve the communication between your nervous system and your muscles. Why does core stability matter so much after 60? Because your core is the foundation for virtually every movement you make. When your core is weak, other parts of your body have to compensate. This leads to back pain, hip pain, and poor balance. It also makes you more vulnerable to falls because your body can't react quickly to unexpected movements. A strong core, on the other hand, provides a stable foundation. It improves your posture. It reduces back pain, and it enhances your balance in dynamic situations. A study from the German Center for Neurodegenerative Diseases found something remarkable. Older adults who practiced core stability exercises like the dead bug for 6 months showed measurable increases in brain volume, particularly in areas related to balance and coordination. Think about that. At any age, you can actually grow your brain through the right kind of exercise. This happens because the complex coordination required by these movements creates new neural pathways. Your brain has to communicate with multiple muscle groups simultaneously. This keeps it active, engaged, and healthy. So how do you perform the dead bug exercise? You'll need to lie on your back on a comfortable surface like a yoga mat or carpet. Bend your knees and place your feet flat on the floor. This is your starting position. Now lift your knees so your shins are parallel to the ceiling. Your knees should be directly above your hips at a 90-degree angle. Reach your arms straight up toward the ceiling. This is your setup position. Here's the movement. Slowly lower your right arm back over your head while simultaneously straightening your left leg and lowering it toward the floor. Keep your lower back pressed gently against the floor. Don't let it arch up. This is the key to the exercise. Your core muscles are working to keep your spine stable while your limbs are moving. Lower your arm and leg as far as you can while maintaining that stable spine. Then bring them back to the starting position. Now repeat on the other side. Left arm back, right leg extends. That's one full repetition. The movement should be slow and controlled. There's no benefit to rushing. In fact, the slower you go, the more your core has to work. Start with just 5 or 6 repetitions per side. Do 2 sets, 3 times per week. It will feel awkward at first. Your coordination might feel off. That's completely normal. Your brain is creating new movement patterns. Give it time. As you practice, you'll notice something interesting. The exercise starts to feel smoother, more natural. That's your nervous system adapting. That's exactly what we want. Over time, you can make the exercise harder by extending your limbs further from your body, or by holding the extended position for a few seconds before returning to start. But again, there's no rush. Consistency matters far more than intensity. The Harvard research found that participants who practiced core stability exercises reported a 49% reduction in back pain over 12 weeks. They also showed improved balance scores and faster reaction times. One 72-year-old participant in the study made a comment that stuck with researchers. He said, "I'm stronger now than I was at 55. That might sound impossible, but it's not. When you've been inactive for years and then start training consistently, your body responds. Muscles that have been dormant wake up. Movement patterns that were lost get relearned. You can absolutely become stronger and more capable in your 70s than you were in your 50s. It happens all the time." Let's take a step back now and look at the bigger picture. We've covered 5 exercises. Chair squats for lower body strength and the ability to stand up independently. Calf raises for balance and circulation. Wall push-ups for upper body strength and functional pushing power. Supported squats for knee health and deeper leg strength. And dead bugs for core stability and nervous system health. Together, these 5 movements create a complete program that addresses every major aspect of functional fitness for older adults. But here's what makes this approach different from just walking. Walking is rhythmic, repetitive, and low resistance. It's excellent for cardiovascular health and mental well-being. But it doesn't create enough mechanical stress to stop muscle loss. These 5 exercises do. They place targeted stress on your muscles and bones in ways that trigger adaptation. Your body responds by building tissue instead of breaking it down. That's mechanotransduction in action. The Copenhagen study we mentioned at the beginning compared these 2 approaches directly. 8,000 participants. 5 years of data. The group doing targeted resistance exercises 3 times per week for 20 to 25 minutes per session outperformed the walking group on every measure. Strength, balance, bone density, functional mobility, quality of life. And they did it in 40% less total exercise time. This isn't about walking being bad. Walking is wonderful, but if walking is all you do, you're missing out on massive benefits. Now let's talk about how to actually implement this program. The research shows that 3 sessions per week is the sweet spot. That's enough to trigger adaptation without overtaxing recovery. Each session should take about 20 to 25 minutes. You can do all 5 exercises in one session, or you can split them up. Some people prefer to do upper body exercises one day and lower body the next. That's fine. What matters is consistency over weeks and months. Here's a simple template. Start each session with a brief warm-up. Walk around your home for 3 to 5 minutes. Do some arm circles and leg swings. This prepares your body for the work ahead. Then move through your exercises. Do 2 sets of each movement, with a minute of rest between sets. Focus on form, not speed. Control the movement in both directions. Breathe naturally throughout. Don't hold your breath. And finish with a few minutes of gentle stretching. Nothing extreme. Just moving your joints through their range of motion while everything is warm. Track your progress somehow. It doesn't need to be complicated. A simple notebook works perfectly. Write down the date, which exercises you did, and how many repetitions you completed. This serves two purposes. First, it keeps you accountable. When you write something down, you're more likely to stick with it. Second, it shows you your progress over time. When you look back and see that you've doubled your repetitions or progressed to a harder variation, it's incredibly motivating. What about rest days? They're not optional. They're essential. This is when adaptation actually happens. During exercise, you're breaking down muscle tissue. That might sound bad, but it's not. It's the signal that tells your body to rebuild stronger. But the rebuilding happens during rest. If you exercise the same muscles hard every single day without rest, you're just breaking them down repeatedly without giving them time to adapt. The research is clear on this. 3 days per week with at least 1 day of rest between sessions produces better results than daily training. More is not always better. Appropriate stress plus adequate rest equals adaptation. Let's address some common concerns. What if you can't complete a full repetition of an exercise? That's okay. Do what you can. If you can't stand up from a chair without using your arms, use your arms. Put your hands on the armrests and push. You're still working your legs. Over time, you'll need your arms less. If you can't do a single leg calf raise yet, keep doing both legs together. Strength comes with practice. If wall push-ups from standing are too difficult, do them from your kitchen counter or a table. Find the angle that challenges you without overwhelming you. What if you have arthritis or joint pain? This is where you absolutely must work with your doctor or a physical therapist. Many people with arthritis can do these exercises with modifications, and often the exercises actually reduce their pain over time by strengthening the muscles around painful joints. But you need professional guidance to do it safely. Don't push through sharp pain. Some discomfort is normal when you're working muscles that haven't been used. But pain that's sharp, shooting, or that gets worse as you continue is a warning sign. Stop and seek advice. What if you miss a week or take time off? Life happens. You get sick. You travel. You have family obligations. That's completely normal. The research shows that you can maintain most of your strength by training just once per week. You won't improve much at that frequency, but you won't lose much either. So if you need to reduce your frequency temporarily, do 1 session per week if possible. And when you're ready to resume your normal schedule, start back gradually. Don't try to make up for lost time by doing twice as much. That's a recipe for injury. Just pick up where you left off and continue forward. Here's something important about expectations. You won't see dramatic changes in a week or even 2 weeks. The body doesn't work that way. But if you stick with this consistently for 4 weeks, you'll notice things starting to shift. Movements feel a bit easier. You have more energy. You feel steadier on your feet. By 8 to 12 weeks, the changes become obvious. You're significantly stronger. Your balance is noticeably better. Tasks that were difficult become manageable. And by 6 months, you may be doing things you haven't done in years. The University of Copenhagen study tracked participants for 5 full years. The benefits didn't plateau at 6 months or a year. They continued to improve for those who kept training consistently. That's the real secret. This isn't a 12-week program that you do and then stop. It's a sustainable practice that becomes part of your life. 20 to 25 minutes, 3 times per week. That's all it takes to maintain and even improve your strength, balance, and independence as you age. Let's talk about the social and emotional benefits as well, because these matter enormously. Multiple studies have shown that older adults who exercise regularly report higher life satisfaction, less depression, and better cognitive function. Part of this is biological. Exercise increases blood flow to the brain. It triggers the release of beneficial hormones and growth factors. But part of it is psychological. When you feel strong and capable in your body, it changes how you see yourself. You're not fragile. You're not helpless. You're actively working to maintain your health and independence. That sense of agency is powerful. Many participants in these research studies report that the exercise program gave them a sense of control they'd been missing. One 67-year-old woman said that she'd spent years feeling like her body was betraying her, getting weaker and more painful despite her best efforts. When she started this program and began seeing real, measurable improvements, it shifted her entire outlook. She felt empowered. She felt hopeful. She started taking better care of herself in other areas. Better food choices. More consistent sleep. Staying connected with friends. The exercise was the catalyst that changed everything. This isn't unusual. Research on behavior change shows that when people succeed at one health behavior, it often spreads to others. Success builds momentum. You start to see yourself as someone who takes care of their health. That identity shift is transformative. It affects your choices across the board. So while we're talking about specific exercises for specific physical outcomes, understand that the impact goes far beyond muscle and bone. You're changing your relationship with your own body and your own aging process. Now let's discuss something that doesn't get talked about enough. The economic impact of maintaining your strength and independence. Falls, fractures, and loss of mobility are not just health issues. They're financial catastrophes for many older adults. A hip fracture can cost over $30,000 in direct medical costs, not to mention the costs of rehabilitation, lost independence, and potential long-term care. The CDC estimates that falls cost the U.S. healthcare system over $50 billion annually. But here's the thing, many of these falls and fractures are preventable. When you maintain your leg strength, you're less likely to fall. When you maintain your bone density through resistance exercise, you're less likely to fracture if you do fall. When you maintain your upper body strength, you're more likely to be able to catch yourself or get back up. The exercises we've discussed directly address all of these factors. They're not just about quality of life, though that alone would be enough. They're also about remaining independent for as long as possible, avoiding injuries that can spiral into loss of mobility and costly interventions. A study from the Mayo Clinic published in 2024 calculated the potential cost savings if just 30% of adults over 60 did resistance training 3 times per week. The projected savings over a decade were in the tens of billions of dollars. Fewer falls, fewer fractures, less need for assisted living. Lower healthcare utilization overall, but more importantly than the economics, think about what that means for individual lives. People staying in their own homes longer, continuing to do activities they love, remaining independent and self-sufficient. That's priceless. Before we wrap up, let's address one more important topic. Nutrition and recovery. Exercise creates the stimulus for change, but your body needs the right raw materials to adapt. Protein is particularly important for older adults. Research shows that after age 60, you need more protein per meal to trigger muscle protein synthesis. The current guidelines suggest aiming for 25 to 30 grams of protein at each main meal. Good sources include lean meats, fish, eggs, dairy, beans, and legumes. If you're not getting enough protein through food, a protein supplement can help, but talk to your doctor first, especially if you have kidney issues. Hydration matters too. Many older adults don't drink enough water because they don't feel thirsty as readily. But dehydration affects your energy, your recovery, and even your cognitive function. Aim for 6 to 8 glasses of water per day, more if you're exercising or it's hot outside. And don't underestimate the importance of sleep. This is when your body does the majority of its repair and adaptation work. Most older adults need 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night. If you're not sleeping well, it will limit your progress. Talk to your doctor if sleep is an issue. Finally, let's talk about mindset. The most successful people in these research studies weren't the ones who started out strongest or most fit. They were the ones who approached the program with patience and consistency. They didn't expect overnight miracles. They showed up week after week, did the work, and trusted the process. Some weeks felt great. Some weeks felt hard, but they kept going. That's what matters. There's a concept in exercise science called progressive overload. It means that to continue improving, you need to gradually increase the challenge over time. More repetitions, harder variations, longer holds, whatever it is. But the key word is gradually. You don't jump from beginner exercises to advanced ones in a week. You add 1 or 2 repetitions. You progress to a slightly harder variation. Small steps, consistently applied, create remarkable changes over time. This is true in exercise. It's also true in life. So here's what we've learned today. Walking alone, while beneficial for many things, does not provide enough resistance to prevent the muscle loss that naturally occurs after age 60. Targeted resistance exercises, done just 3 times per week for 20 to 25 minutes, can dramatically improve strength, balance, bone density, and functional independence. The 5 exercises we've covered, chair squats, calf raises, wall push-ups, supported squats, and dead bugs, form a complete program that addresses every major aspect of functional fitness. These movements work through mechanotransduction, sending signals to your cells that trigger adaptation and strength building. The research is clear: less exercise time, better results, as long as you're doing the right kind of exercise. You now have the information. You understand why these movements matter. You know how to perform them safely and progress appropriately. The only question left is whether you'll take action. Will you start this week? Will you commit to showing up 3 times per week for the next month and see what happens? Will you give your body the stimulus it needs to stay strong and capable? We hope the answer is yes. Because you deserve to feel strong and independent for decades to come. You deserve to do the activities you love without pain or fear. You deserve to maintain your autonomy and live life on your terms. These 5 exercises can help you do exactly that. If you found this information valuable, please hit the like button. It helps us reach more people who need this science-based information. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. We release new videos every week covering health, longevity, and quality of life topics specifically for people over 60. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you in the next video.